let's move on to, I got a Sega CD game here, which I picked up recently. I've been playing a game on the PC called Legend of Grimrock, which I have been enjoying immensely. So, I've never played that style of RPG before, the sort of Eye of the Beholder style of PC RPGs. So I picked up Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Eye of the Beholder for the Sega CD. And these are similar to like the Might and Magic PC RPGs, where you're in first person and you have a party of usually 4 members, and you have to click on their portraits to make them attack. And the game is just usually, it stays within real time, so it's not like you take turns. The enemies keep attacking you in real time, so you have to act really fast. And for that reason, some of you are probably saying, well, why wouldn't you play it on the PC? I wanted the Sega CD version because it has a soundtrack done by Yuzo Koshiro, which some of you might know he does some of my personal favorite soundtracks of all time for the Etrian Odyssey series, as well as for games like Streets of Rage on the Sega Genesis. So I love his music, and I watched some gameplay of this on the Sega CD, and his music kicks ass in here. It's so moody and fits right in with the setting of this game. But I picked up the Sega CD, Sega Genesis mouse to go along with this. So it'll be a lot more playable than using a gamepad, because these kind of games really do need a mouse. So got the mouse, got my Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Eye of the Beholder. I'm kind of embracing this new subgenre of RPGs now, and I definitely want to check out some of the PC versions, such as Lands of Lore, and maybe check out some of the Might and Magic games and stuff on there. So I'll have to see. Alright, next I have 2 homebrews here. Well, one's a homebrew, one is sort of just a reproduction compilation, I guess you can say. But let's start with a homebrew on the Atari Lynx, and this is Zaku. This is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up that was developed exclusively for the Lynx. This was not a game that was lost in production a long time ago on the Lynx. This is a brand new game made exclusively for the Lynx. It looks a lot like Airzonk in terms of graphics. I haven't had a chance to play this yet, but I've heard really good things. And for the Game Boy Advance, I got this. This is a reproduction homebrew of sorts, I guess you could say. It is Atari XE Video Game Pack. 9 classic Atari computer games on a single cartridge. The main reason I wanted this is because it comes with Another World, also known as Out of This World. And I thought that would be really neat to kind of play on a Game Boy Advance. But it also comes with Airball, Bubble Dizzy, Deflector, Eliminator, Flood, Return to Genesis, Nebulous, and Gold Runner. So, pretty happy to have this. Of course, this is not an official release. It's sort of housed in this Game Boy, this DS case that they've sort of modded to fit a Game Boy Advance game. So, still thought that was pretty cool. For the WonderSwan color, I picked up a game that I was after for quite a while. It doesn't appear too often. It's pretty rare. But that's SD Gundam Operation UC. And most people that look at Gundam games on the WonderSwan color or the WonderSwan probably look at them and say, oh, I can't play that, because most of them are RPGs that have a lot of Japanese text. You can't play them. However, this is a sort of fusion between a side-scrolling beat-em-up and a shoot-em-up, in that you control, little SD Gundams that... I never really got into the SD Gundam series, but it spans a lot of different series. There's tons of Gundams you can choose from in here. You can play as the enemies as well. And there's all different scenarios. There's different story modes, where most of the story is depicted with actions on the screen and not text. There's versus modes. There's like survival mode. And it actually looks really good. The sprites get really large on here. Pretty impressive looking game. So if you have a WonderSwan color, or you plan on picking one up and you want an accessible game that you don't gotta know Japanese to play, and you want a fun one to go with it, check this game out. Okay, for the Nintendo 64, I picked up a copy of Mickey Speedway USA. I just want to give a thank you to PlayLives Jeff here on YouTube. He mentioned this in one of his pickup videos, and he said it was really good, so I'm like, really? So I went and checked out some gameplay, and the game looked amazing. It's actually developed by Rare, so that tells you a lot right there. It looks very similar to a cross between like Diddy Kong Racing and Mario Kart 64, and most people would probably say, oh, Mickey Mouse. How could that be a good game? But it looks really good. I haven't had a chance to pop it in yet, but just throwing this out there for you guys. If you like kart racers, this is definitely one to look into. Also, I got 2 more racing games here. One of them, I picked this up when I went to PAX Prime or Comic-Con. I don't even remember anymore. I think I picked this up at New York Comic-Con last year. Yeah, New York Comic-Con. This is a game on the Japanese PS2 called Herivilo. Oh my god. Okay, well, this is how you spell it. HRESVELGR. Yeah, you take your best guess. Formula High Powered. But this is like a futuristic racing game that sort of looks like it reminds me of like Extreme G. Haven't had a chance to try this one out yet, but I'd never heard of it before. Got it pretty cheap. I got it for like $5, $6 or something like that, so figured it was worth a try. And for the Dreamcast, I picked up another game that most people might pass up and say, oh, that game can't be that good. Looney Tunes Space Race. One day I really wanted to check out some like kart races online, see what might be good out there. And this is one that was pretty highly regarded, and the graphics looked amazing. It's got a really, really nice looking cel-shaded look to it. Sort of reminds me of Cell Damage, if any of you ever played that back on the Xbox GameCube. I think they released it on, I don't think they released it on PS2. But this looks like a lot of fun. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but the animation and the level designs and everything here look really amazing. Okay, next let's move on to... oh, my games are falling down here. I gotta put some of these down. Hold on. Let's move on to Sega Saturn. Import Sega Saturn, that is. And the first game here is Watchin' Rotor. And what this is here is, this is a strategy, grid-based, turn-based RPG. But before you're all like, oh, why did you waste your money on an RPG that you can't read because it's in Japanese? Believe me, I did my research on this one first. The reason why I bought this is I watched some videos. The gameplay in the battles looks very simplistic, very easy to get a hold of in terms of what moves do what. But the story, supposedly in this game, is really amazing. It's got a steampunk aesthetic to it. So the universe is steampunk, the characters are steampunk, looks really cool. But the story, the script, is fully translated online on GameFAQs. So when I play through this game, it's gonna take some time, because what I have to do is, as I read through the script of the game, I just have to read through the script that is posted online. So I'll just print it all out, have papers ready, and as I advance through the story, I'll just read the script, and there you go. It's like I'm playing the game, and I don't even have to know the language. So this, I'm looking forward to giving it a try. That's Watchin' Rotor. This game right here, Huli Rula. Oh my god. Those of you that are familiar with this game, you're probably like, you know exactly what this game is. But when I was just looking up some Japanese Sega Saturn games, this is one that came up. And when I watched a video of this game, I was like, I have to own that game. Because it is insane and crazy. This is a side-scrolling beat-em-up. Only released on the Japanese Saturn, to my knowledge. It might have been in Japanese arcades. I don't know, probably. But in terms of console release, only Japanese Saturn, and there's a good reason for that. I will do a video on this game for you guys. There is one level in this game in particular. The whole game in general is really wacky and crazy, but there is one level in particular in this game that is just it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen in a video game. And granted, I have just started delving into import games, but I'm telling you, I streamed this and people were like, WTF, like it was that crazy. But it's got a hand-drawn sort of cartoon anime look to it. Pretty fun game, really short. You can beat it within like a half an hour. So keep that in mind in case you were thinking about buying this game. It's not incredibly rare, it's uncommon, but you can definitely get a copy if you wanted to. Japanese Saturn, Kyo Flying Squadron 2. Now this here, some of you might be familiar with Kyo Flying Squadron on the Sega CD. I don't own that game because it's pretty expensive. It's about at least $100, and that's a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up on the Sega CD. One of the few released in America in terms of shoot-'em-up for the Sega CD. The sequel, Kyo Flying Squadron 2, is actually a side-scrolling platformer that has really charming, cutesy graphics. This was also released in Europe. It was never released here in America, but the European version of this is in English. There is some story to this game, but the European version of this game is super rare and super expensive. I think it's like at least $200. So this is a fraction of the price of that. So I figured I'd pick it up for the Japanese Saturn. This game got pretty hard pretty fast. So I was playing this one night, live streaming it for people, and I was having some trouble with one section of the game where like rocks are falling. Fun, cutesy game. I'll definitely go back to it because I like my platformers. Willy Wombat for the Japanese Sega Saturn. This here is a really unique, I guess you can call it a blend between a platformer, a shooter, and an action game. You play as Willy Wombat, and it places you in these isometric view 3D environments that are sort of set up, not like a maze, but they're not linear. That you can roam around, there's different paths, and you collect a lot of these gems. And you're basically just shooting your enemies. It's pretty simple gameplay-wise. What's really unique about this, and the reason why I imported it, is because, well, all the text in the game is Japanese, but all the English, the voice acting is all in English. So I can understand the story completely because it's in English. Why they never released this here in America is beyond me, considering all the voice work was already done. But it's a game by Hudson. It's pretty decent. It's okay. Pretty cheap, pretty common. This game here has a really unique sort of story to it because it's translated. The cover doesn't show you, but on the back here, the title of this game is called Linkle Liver Story, and that's with 2 L's. Linkle Liver. Sounds weird, right? What does that mean? But the funny part is, people think there was a mistranslation. That the game was really supposed to say, like, Wrinkle River Story, or something to that effect. Where, because of the mistranslation, the name of the game was totally botched up, and it has a pretty high reputation just for that fact alone. But I watched some videos of this, and I'm not importing any games here that I'll never be able to play because of barrier between language. This game looks playable. It's sort of like a top-down action-adventure game. It's actually from the same guys that did, Crusader of Senti on the Sega Genesis. That's a action RPG that's very much compared to The Legend of Zelda on Link to the Past. I don't have Crusader of Senti because it's pretty rare and pretty expensive, but this is from the same guys that developed that. And you play as like this little cat girl. There's a lot of anthropomorphic characters in here, foxes and all kinds of stuff, but it looked like a lot of fun. This is extremely cheap, so I figured, what the hell? It cost me like less than $8, so. This here, Shadows of the Tusk. This is a strategy RPG, but here's the killer. Ready? Are you ready for this? The entire game, despite being on the Japanese Saturn, is entirely in English. So everything's translated, entirely playable, and it comes with some cards because I forget exactly how the game works. I bought this a long time ago. But it comes with cards of monsters from the game inside. But it looks like it's a pretty fun game. I watched some gameplay video on it a long time ago, and I was able to get it pretty cheap. And, yeah. Shadows of the Tusk. This is for the PlayStation 1, Japanese import, and this is Edge of Sky High. Now, what this is here is, it plays very similar to, say, a Panzer Dragoon kind of game, except you play as a mech, where you're continually going down a path. You can control where your mech flies. You have to lock onto your enemies and shoot them with your homing bullets and everything like that. It seemed really cool. However, when I played this, it is extremely hard to dodge enemy bullets because it's very hard to tell. It's hard to judge the depth of the bullets coming at you, and they come at you really fast. So it's actually a pretty challenging game. I haven't spent too much time with it, so I'm looking forward to going back and trying to, try and figure this game out control-wise and not getting shut down constantly. This here is actually this is really funny. This is a funny story. Now, this is not a game I picked up recently. This is actually a game I bought many years ago. And that's Taito Legends 2. But the reason why I wanted to mention this game in this video is because this is the first time this has ever happened to me. I don't know if this has happened to you guys, but I felt pretty, let's just say I was like, man, is it really getting to that point? I was looking up shooter games online, and I noticed that one of the games that I wanted was really expensive on like the Japanese Saturn, but it was ported to this game right here, and this game is like dirt cheap online. So I'm like, alright, I want to play that game. Oh, Taito Legends 2? Okay. I was actually online on eBay trying to buy a copy of this game. And I was literally so close to buying it, but I was trying to get it a little bit cheaper than what they had up there, that I didn't even know I owned this game. I was looking through my shelves the other day, and all of a sudden I'm like, Taito Legends 2, oh my god. And not only that, but it's brand new and sealed. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, that I'm starting to, it's gotten to that point now where I don't even remember what games I own, which is probably not a good thing. But I'm actually really thrilled that I have this game, because first of all, now I don't gotta buy it, but there's a lot of awesome games on here that I wanted to play. So I think I just wanted to share that story really fast with you guys. And if you've had a similar thing happen to you, where you've actually, I almost bought this game, had a double of it. If you've had the same thing happen to you, let me know. I just thought that was pretty funny.